windows. They were completely defaced in the front. So there are pockets of violence that are playing out all across the city. While the fire department has arrived here, there's a concern for public safety. You can take a look here. You'll see large crowds have been gathering all day long. They're actually following the fire department and police officers, starting fires and causing pockets of trouble. As public safety here becomes a real concern, they are now pleading for everyone to get off the streets as soon as they can here. First responders are doing all they can to keep the public safe here, but it's certainly going to be a very tough situation. From our perspective here on the ground, we have heard explosions play out in other parts of the city. We've seen plumes of smoke in other parts of the city. So we know the fire department is working in multiple different locations tonight. There is concern that the violence here can certainly escalate, especially after dark, as we have seen in Southern California for the last 3 days. So that's the big worry here, Lester. Police and fire department working together side by side, but these pockets of protest and damage continue to play out all night long, Lester.
We know that they were trying to disperse that main pocket of peaceful demonstrators. Has that occurred yet?
Yeah, Lester, we've seen certainly protesters that have been peaceful. We've seen protesters that have taken a knee and raised their hands. There are certainly many chants that are happening here. There are plenty of protesters out here that are peaceful, but we have seen pockets of troublemakers. We've seen people throwing rocks at police officers, throwing bottles, even fireworks towards them, and that's what police are responding to. The problem that makes it so difficult, especially here on the front lines for officers, is those peaceful protesters are often mixed in with agitators. So when police need to push people back, everyone gets lumped together. That's where we've seen injuries play out. We've seen multiple injuries here today. Many people have gone down. People have been hit by rubber bullets and smoke grenades. And so that is the part of the problem here as police try to gain control of the streets.
All right, Miguel Almaguer in Santa Monica, thank you. We'll check back with you in a bit. Let's go now to Minneapolis. As we noted, the epicenter of all this, Gabe Gutierrez is watching the scene there. Gabe, how aggressively do they plan to enforce the curfew in Minneapolis tonight?
Well, certainly, Lester, they are planning on aggressively, and that curfew will be enforced today. It has been a peaceful protest here, Lester, throughout the day. This is actually the site of where the Cup Foods is. This is where George Floyd spent his final moments. There have been peaceful protests here throughout the day, but the fear is that, once this curfew goes into effect in just a short time, how many of these protesters will remain? Now, the Minnesota National Guard says that it got intelligence from the FBI that several days ago received a credible threat, lethal threat, and so that's why they are now armed here, the Minnesota National Guard. More than 4,000 members of the National Guard. But Lester, I can tell you from what we've seen here today and yesterday, these protests have been largely peaceful throughout the day. Yes, sir. And so this is a situation that is very, very emotional here, certainly very emotional following the death of Mr. Floyd. So, Lester, I'm going to send it back to you.
Go ahead, Lester.
All right, Gabe, thanks very much. We are joined now by Martin Luther King III, civil rights advocate and eldest son of Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to get your take first off on the mixed messages that these crowds are sending to a national audience watching these things play out.
So the mixed messages are obviously just what you said, mixed messages. I certainly believe the vast majority of people in America want to see some resolution, like immediately. I think in Minnesota, it would be helpful if the police or the prosecutor would arrest the 3 officers. That should happen immediately, the additional 3 officers, and anyone else who appears to be complicit in this murder. I think that, somehow cities have to find ways to contain the violence. The violence is the language of the unheard, and as you have articulated and others, there are so many others who are joining this scenario who may have infiltrated those who are there for peaceful demonstrations. We know that America was founded upon the right to protest for rights, and that's what people are saying. This behavior that we've seen is beyond unacceptable.